In August of 1814, Washington, D.C. faced one of its darkest and most pivotal moments in history. During the War of 1812, British forces, seeking to retaliate against the United States for its aggressive actions, launched a devastating attack on the nation's capital. At the time, Washington was still a relatively young city, unprepared for such an assault. The British forces, aiming to strike at the heart of the nation, quickly overwhelmed the city, leaving it in ruins. This event, known as the Burning of Washington, would not only impact the capital physically, but would test the very resilience of the United States. The War of 1812 had been a difficult and drawn-out conflict between the United States and Great Britain. Tensions had been building for years due to British interference with American trade, the impressment of American sailors, and British support for Native American attacks on American settlers. By 1814, the British were engaged in a prolonged war with Napoleon in Europe, but they still had the resources to strike back at the United States. The British saw Washington as a symbol of American power and sought to make a bold statement by capturing and destroying the city. At the time, Washington, D.C. was still in its infancy. The city had been established as the new capital of the United States just a few decades earlier, and it was still being developed. The city's defenses were inadequate, and the U.S. military was no match for the trained and experienced British forces. President James Madison, recognizing the impending threat, had little choice but to evacuate. As the British forces, led by Major General Robert Ross, advanced toward the capital, the American government fled, leaving the city vulnerable to attack. On August 24, 1814, British forces entered Washington, D.C., without encountering any significant resistance. The city was left virtually defenseless, and the British quickly set about their mission to deliver a decisive blow to the United States. Their primary targets were the most iconic and symbolic buildings in Washington, the Capitol and the White House. The Capitol building, which housed the U.S. Congress, was set on fire. The White House, the residence of the president, was also engulfed in flames. The flames lit up the night sky, casting a shadow over the city and symbolizing the destruction of the nation's political heart. The British also set fire to other important structures, including the Treasury and the War Department. For the United States, this attack was not only a military defeat, but a psychological blow. The loss of the Capitol was devastating, and it felt as though the very ideals the country had fought for were being torn apart. Washington had been the embodiment of American sovereignty and democracy, and now it lay in ruins. The destruction of Washington was a blow to the morale of the American people. The loss of such a key city raised questions about the future of the nation and whether the United States could ever recover from such a humiliating defeat. However, amid the devastation, there were acts of remarkable courage that became symbols of the nation's resilience. Over the years that followed, Washington was rebuilt, the White House was restored, and President Madison returned to the residence. The Capitol was rebuilt, and Congress resumed its work. Washington, D.C. slowly returned to life. The rebuilding process wasn't just about the restoration of physical buildings. It was about restoring hope, unity, and the belief that the United States could endure any challenge. It was a statement that, no matter how severe the blow, the nation would rise again, stronger and more determined than ever. Today, Washington, D.C. stands as a symbol of resilience and strength. The Capitol, the White House, and other landmarks are a reminder of the city's remarkable transformation. The city may have been scarred by the events of 1814, but its recovery serves as a testament to the strength of the American people. The burning of Washington may have been a moment of crisis, but it was also a moment of renewal, a turning point in American history that demonstrated the nation's capacity to rebuild and emerge even stronger. As we reflect on this pivotal moment in American history, we are reminded that the resilience of a nation is not defined by how it falls, but by how it rises. The burning of Washington was a defining moment that revealed the strength and courage of the American people. What do you think of this defining moment in history? How do you think it shaped the future of the United States? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about Washington, D.C., the city that shaped a nation.